We're back. Sorry, we got a little cut off there, but Matt here is going to finish his thoughts on the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say on the New York Giants is, they constantly shoot themselves in the foot each and every game. They're close to winning these games. We'll see with the Kansas City Chiefs a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football, with poor late game execution on the defensive side of the ball and offensive side of the ball. And I just think that one thing this team really needs to do is, stick to their roles and, stick to the game plan, start executing a little bit more on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball, as we get to the latter part of the season and, if they want to even contend for a wild card spot, I think that this, end of the season coming off of the bye, that they'll have to, start executing and, playing hard and, fly to the ball and, do what they need to do.
Honestly, man, they have the shot to get that last spot. Sitting at 3-6 right now, it's not impossible.
Yeah. The rest of the NFC is atrocious.
If they get like 7 to 7, 8 wins, maybe they have a chance. Yeah.
But even if they sniff a playoff spot at this point, we already know they'll have a wild card game. But at the end of the day, I think the ceiling is high. They'll probably contend for a high draft pick in the upcoming draft, and that draft should definitely go towards shoring up that O-line. I think they should give Danny one more year, one more chance to really prove himself as the next franchise quarterback.
I agree.
Obviously, see the talent that he has in regards to his athleticism and arm strength. So we shall see. Hopefully we'll get back to the top of the glory, top of the mountain sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Yes, we shall.
Best of luck to you, kind of. I'm still salty about the 2 Super Bowls. So we can brighten the mood a little after talking about the Giants. We're gonna do America's favorite segment. Good vibes, bad vibes. This time we're gonna do it a little differently. Me and Jay have a few guys we're going to give to Matt. Me and Jay aren't really going to participate in the answer this week. We just have a few guys we're going to give to Matt. Mine or New York edition. Good vibes, bad vibes. We should, real quick, Matt, explain your connection to New York and your New York sports fandom. Are you from New York?
No. So, born and raised in Boston. I know. The lineage, it comes from my father.
All the people listening right now, like, what the fuck?
I know, I understand. Yeah, my father, when he migrated from Jamaica, he went to Bronx, which is a borough of New York City, and that's where it all started. And obviously, when I was born, the New York, I guess, sport fandom was instilled onto me, and I carry the baton, I carry the flag. I carry and I wear it on my chest.
I love it.
I respect it.
And you've always been loyal. You've always been loyal.
Always. If in the mornings when we used to get to breakfast and always in freshman year, sophomore year, throughout the cathedral years, we always used to go back and forth. But always loyalty is key.
I couldn't fathom people when I got to cathedral, and just throughout my youth, I couldn't fathom people from Boston rooting for other teams. But at least Matt, in my late, like, now that I've seen it wasn't just a phase, it's like Matt is a true New York sports fan, which I respect. Where, we had other people who they're a Yankees fan and they're a Miami Heat fan and they're a Dallas Cowboys fan, they're a New York Giants fan, and like all this, like, it's just like the anti-Boston teams, where Matt is strictly New York, and especially with your dad's background, I totally get it. Jay, I'm New York themed. Good vibes, bad vibes. You were gonna give him like the basic ones. You were gonna give me. Do you want to start off, or do you want to go back and forth? Two each. Jay's gonna give you 2, and I'm gonna give you 2, and you just tell us: do they give you good vibes or do they give you bad vibes? And you don't need to elaborate too much. Just like 30 seconds on each.
Cool.
It's sort of like a rapid fire thing.
You ready, Matt?
Yes, sir.
All right. First one, Travis Kelce.
Oh,
what do you think about
that's
that
a good
guy?
one.
Good vibes, always good vibes. You know, if Travis is, you know, lined up against linebacker, 9 times out of 10, he's winning that matchup. You know, reliable security blanket for Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
It's always been since he's been there. So good vibes, Travis.
All right.
All right. You want me to go?
Yeah.
All right. James Dolan.
Bad
Oh boy.
vibes. 1,000%.
Oh,
Elaborate.
no.
Second to John Mara as the worst franchise owners in New York. I think he's run that organization to further points in the ground, closer to hell. You know, I just think the lack of respect for you know, previous New York legends such as Charles Oakley.
That was horrible.
You
That was
know,
so
just that just goes to show how poor of an owner he is. Not only that, but using draft, you know, the first overall draft or first round draft picks on players that are just going to see a 4th and 15th seat on the bench. And I think that's just it's just a testament to how poor of an owner he is thus far. So
They say he cares about his band more than that team, right?
Yeah, this jazz band.
it's jazz band shit. That's news to me. That goes to show
And I hear he's a douchebag.
He's
Like,
a
just to the
joke,
people who
yeah.
work for him and shit.
bad vibes. 100%.
Bad vibes.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, so
I like it.
second guy for you will be Steve Kerr back. Let me hear your thoughts on him.
Sure. Good vibes. For him to, you know, put together a team currently led by Stephen Curry and a bunch of glorified role players and you know, Draymond Green, who's limping on one leg as it seems every single game. To have them, you know, come out every night and contend and, you know, play their asses off. And, you know, it goes to show in their record. I believe they're 11-2, 11-3, something along those lines.
11-2. Yep.
Yeah, 11-2. So good vibes about Curry. You know, there's just something about him as a coach that galvanizes that locker room, and you know, has those players coming out on a nightly basis. You know, giving the effort.
Yeah. All right.
Shout out Stevie.
We're gonna stick with basketball here. My last one is Mitchell Robinson.
Ooh, I like this one.
You know, I like Mitchell a lot.
Yeah.
I think his feeling is high, but right now I have to say bad vibes for Mitchell Robinson.
How come?
I don't think he's coming to his own. As you know, the center as the big man for the New York Knicks.
But he looks like KD in those pickup games.
Looks like KD in those pickup games. Yeah, he'll dream. But no, he's just, you know, first and foremost, lack of
never healthy.
ability. Yeah, never healthy. I feel like every game outside of AD, he's always on the ground, you know, writhing in an ankle injury or a knee injury or a wrist, whatever the case may be. The upside is there, but you know, so far what I've seen from him within the past 3 or so seasons is just never being on the court.
Never came close to playing 82 games.
Yeah, never came close to playing 82 games, and just, you know, not really seeing the off-season work that, you know, more of the other players have shown this season to start so far. So bad vibes currently.
I see. Okay, yeah. Mitchell Robinson, rookie year, 66 games. Next year, 61, then 31, and then obviously this year he's played all 12 games. But I was interested to see your answer to that because he's definitely a talented kid, but he definitely has some issues. Of course, staying on the court, and then when he is on the court,
he feels like y'all version. He's like y'all version of Rob Williams for us,
right?
Yeah,
no, 100%. When he's on the court defensively, it's like, oh shit, but when is he on the court?
Yeah, and I think that he can really be a dominant force at his size, you know, and his stature. You could easily average a double-double a night. You know, quick 15 and 15, you know, you could contend as, you know, possible best big center in the league, you know what I mean? Up there with the Rudy Goberts, up there with the Miles Turners, you know, up there with the,
you're right.
You know what I mean? He has the potential in that, you know, realm, in that category. You know what I mean? But it's just, I don't know if the system currently that Tibbs has in place.
That's a good comparison. Like, why he should be Rudy Gobert? Like, I don't see what would be preventing him from at least being at least at
Yeah.
that level.
You
But
know,
like we
that's
said,
what-
it's because he's never healthy, so
right,
you never get the
right,
chance to work on it.
Yeah.
right.
Um,
And
oh.
go ahead.
no, you can go ahead. You can finish your thought on Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, no, and I just think that the system Tibbs has in place doesn't necessarily favor centers more so. I
Right.
think he uses them more so in his defensive schemes, clogging up the paint when anybody's coming to the lane or whatever the case may be. Not much on the offensive end, but yes, Mitchell Robinson, the jury's still out on him.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. And so I guess we can bleed this into our New York basketball talk to just finish this off is these final 20 minutes or so. Matt, real quick question for you. So you're a massive Mello fan.
Correct.
If Lakers face the Knicks in the finals, would you rather see Mello get a ring or New York get their first ring since the 70s?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Wow.
Damn.
Great question.
Would you digest that?
To be honest with you, I think future is bright for the Knicks. So they have a lot of young players that, have yet to come into their own. So I'd say I'd have to go with Mello on that one. Yeah, that's just been my guy, man. Y'all know that's just been my guy since day one.
Always.
Man. Day one. So he's almost done. He probably has like 2, maybe 3 more seasons left in him. And for the position that he's currently in on the Lakers, this is literally the best shot he's ever had at any point in his career to win a championship. So if that was the finals matchup, man, I'd have to go with Mello. Man,
That's tough though. Yeah, that's a great question.
I'd buy everybody tickets to Los Angeles, man. Right away.
Both of your boys are there right now, huh?
Exactly. Oh my god.
Odell, Mello, yeah. It's
both in similar
star-studded
circumstances too, where like they can help. They're not going to be like the greatest player on the team, but they can help the other team. Jay, I assume you'd agree with me that I'd rather see the Knicks win just because I don't want to see the Lakers win the championship.
Yeah,
that's the only reason. If Mello was on any other team basically in the West, I'd change my tune. If he was on the Warriors, obviously, or any other team in the Western Conference, I'd completely change my tune on that because I have Mello. I think he went from properly rated to overrated to underrated. I at this point in time, even before his good start to this season, I've thought he's been underrated. I had him in my top 50. Of course, I think I had him at 50 or 49. I can't really remember, but I had him in my top 50 all time, which some people are scratching their head that he made this all 75 list. I'm like, he's one of the greatest scorers of all time. Of course he made the top 75 list. Go do your research.
I'll say, Mello has, man, he doesn't get his fair share of credit, especially now in his later career. Because even I was listening to the Simmons podcast and I was texting you, Gabe. He was talking about like the best small forwards of the past century, like since since 2000. He was basically centering the conversation around Paul George, but he was like, he named Paul George, obviously LeBron, KD, Kawhi, but then he was like Paul George, Pierce. I would still take Pierce, but Paul George was taking McGrady over Mello. I'm like, yeah, come on, man. Like, Mello, when he was in his prime,
Mello edges out McGrady for me.
Yeah, and Paul George for sure. I mean, Paul George.
Look at this.
I mean,
from
Mello
from 06-07, besides 09 when I assume he's injured, all the way up until 2017, he's in the All-Star game and he's averaging over 21 points a game throughout those years.
He's certified.
2013, probably Matt's favorite year of basketball. He's on the Knicks. He's scoring. He had career high 28.7.
He led the league in scoring that year, right?
It was him and LeBron were duking it out for the MVP. I think KD, LeBron edged him out, but then KD, the
scoring title with KD, and then with MVP. Yeah, Mello. That's what I'm saying. So like that just shows you Mello was in that conversation with those guys, with the LeBron, KDs.
Just a versatile scorer.
He's tough, bro. And he's been has he been the best player for the Lakers, Matt? You can probably answer that better than us.
I was just about to say that.
Saving their ass.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes without saying.
To earth. He's come down to earth a little bit, but he's been hooping.
Yeah, it goes without saying that the Russell Westbrook, acquisition in the offseason has possibly been Rob Pelinka's worst move thus far as general manager of the Los Angeles Lakers. But no, for sure. I saw a picture the other day of players in their, I guess, 18th or 19th season or after the age of 36 or something like that.
Yeah.
The top scorers, points per game at that point in their career, Mello's third after LeBron at 224 a game. And then I think Kareem had like 18 points per game. And then Mello's right there at like 16 or 17 points a game.
It's a good list.
Right.
So
And
that's
I have,
just like
yeah.
Go ahead.
I have Pierce higher than him all time. Of course, Pierce wins a title and has much more playoff success. That being said, Mello right now is at this point in Pierce's career, he's on the Clippers and he's like barely getting into the games. If not,
it's like getting end of the game just to hit a shot at the Garden.
He had great moments in Brooklyn and then in Washington, clutch shot after clutch shot in Washington during those playoffs, similar to what Melo's doing now. But I believe Mello, if not, he's definitely has more years than Pierce did at that point in time when Pierce is on the Clippers. He could be Pierce's age or around then. Like, I'm just saying, in terms of longevity, like Pierce, that's an NBA great, and even he at this point in time is not doing what Melo's doing. And the only reason Mello might not be getting hyped up as much is because he's on the team with LeBron, who's an alien and has just been playing at an extremely high level forever. So I agree with you guys that he should be getting more props than he is right now.
Yeah. I'll say one thing that I really appreciate about Mello, and this is kind of what brought me around to him more, is his willingness to just accept his role. And I've mentioned this before, but going from, like, Matt, you remember those days in New York where it was just the balls, the ball's going to Mello at the end of the game. Going from that to the OKC situation where it's like, all right, Russ is obviously the guy here, but then Paul George, how do I navigate that? And then it's like, is he starting? Is he not starting? He had a little stint in Houston, but then I guess somewhere along that journey, it kind of clicked for him. Like, I'm going to stay in this league and still be productive. I kind of have to change how I just change his game, like change the way he carries himself on the court. Not always having the post ups. He'll like play off the ball now. Shooting 47% from three. A lot of that's just catch and shoot, like being there for guys. So the way he's kind of adapted his to his surroundings and evolved, similar to what Jason Kidd did, I think, where it's like, this is why he's still playing. Where guys, we love Pierce, but I don't think that transition was as easy for him as it's been for Mello, which is
it was wear and tear. It was wear and tear with Pierce too, and just age and probably his lifestyle. Probably
a lot of people wrote him off.
His lifestyle,
A lot of people wrote him off after the 10-game stint that he had with the Rockets. And
I for one,
he was used as a scapegoat.
And put my hand up.
Daryl Morey and the Mike D'Antoni led Houston Rockets. And like you said, you mentioned the stats leading up into his last year in New York when he was averaging at least up to 21 points per game. For him to be blackballed and out of the league for a year and a half.
And is that before or after OKC?
That was after OKC. So
after,
yeah.
My issue, Matt, my issue with that was he signed a contract, right? And then didn't play and left the Rockets and still got paid. And all these people are like, oh, look at Mello getting the bag. Mello guys.
Atlanta paid him.
And then, Atlanta. And then it's like 6 months later, it's like, why isn't Mello on a team? And I'm like, you guys were just congratulating him for walking away with all this money. It's his fault at that point.
Right.
What he needed to do is what he's done now. What he did in Portland was, I'm not taking a team to the promised land anymore, but I can be a role player, a very good role player. Like I said last week, I say this a lot. Mello is a guy you can plug into any team in the NBA and he's going to succeed. So that was my criticism of him back then, but he seemed to have matured as a person and as a player. Just this third act has been great.
No, for sure. And, if I were to put myself in his shoes coming off of that last season in New York, going into the situation with Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and like you said, having to navigate through, that situation where, I'm the lead guy in New York and, third option. So, my touches are going to be a little bit less. And, I'm going to have to deal with these egos in the locker room and whatever the case may be. To then going on to that, Houston Rockets situation where 10 games into the season, after not getting much burn and, not really be given a fair chance by the Rockets to show, that he was willing at that point in time to adapt to that new role in that situation.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, situation, like we're looking back now, we've seen how hard it is for guys to play with Westbrook. And then you look at the Houston situation, we've seen how hard it is to be playing with Harden. So you kind of can't blame Mello there at the same time, where it's like, man, these are two guys where it's just, unless you're Kevin Durant and
the worst guys,
a constant on the court.
The two worst guys, maybe the two worst guys in the history of basketball to transition, to be at that point in your career, transitioning from a superstar to a very good role
second,
player.
third fiddle.
Like those are the worst guys to go. You're not going to Steph Curry or Chris Paul. You're going to James Harden and Westbrook, the two highest usage rate guys ever.
And it's so funny because I think now Anthony Davis might be realizing what Durant and Mello and Paul George realized, like, yo, Westbrook is impossible to play with.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to win.
Not
games.
A winning basketball player.
Like Mello now, it's easy for him because he's just, he's just staying in his little spot, getting his threes up, and he's not that guy anymore. So those type of guys can play with Westbrook. Obviously, we know who Mello is, but the player he is now, that's the type of guy that I guess could play with Westbrook. But if you're a guy that, garners attention on defense, to play with that guy, it's just. And we don't have to do too much of the Lakers. We'll do NBA stuff another time. But man, Westbrook has been egregious.
Yeah,
just egregious.
All right. And let's not forget that Carmelo's a top 10 scorer of all time. Now, possibly when he retires, he'll probably be top 6.
Top 6 in the all-time scoring list, or
possible. It's possible.
Or you think, or are we just talking scoring ability? Is he top 10 all time? Because I have to run down the list.
Scoring list.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I know he's getting up there.
What do y'all think about that, though? Scoring ability, is Mello top 10 all time? I know that's hard because it's like, damn, can I think of 9 guys? But
I mean, you think of the guys immediately. He's probably up there. The first guys who come to mind: Jordan, KD, Kobe.
Yeah, as far as bucket getters, those 3, and then Bird, probably throw Bird in there.
Bird, LeBron. Do we count LeBron?
Yeah.
I mean, he gets buckets, he's going to be he's higher on that scoring list than Mello is.
So now we're saying, because like those guys like LeBron and Bird, they could score, but pure bucket getters, like straight up, pick up Peters Park, like just give him, he's getting a bucket. Yeah. It's like maybe Durant, Kobe, MJ, like Mello he's knocking on that door. Like those guys were, honestly,
there's definitely an argument to be made. Maybe Iverson, something we'll revisit.
Kyrie,
we have more time.
Wants to play.
Yeah. Matt, question for you. Another question. Is there a moment that sticks out as your favorite Mellow moment?
Definitely. You guys might not want to hear this one, but
here we go.
Back to 2013, that first round playoff series against the Boston Celtics. Having them, make the playoffs after 10 or 15 plus consecutive seasons, not even sniffing the playoffs, because for Mello, the Knicks were hot garbage. They were throwing out Nate Robinson. Latrell Sprewells of the world and things of that
Eddie
nature. Curry, you name it. Mike
Rodney Terry-off. That was rough times.
So, they made the playoffs within the first time within so many years. To then go against the arch nemesis and the Boston Celtics and have him win the first playoff series as a New York Knick, I think that'll probably have to be one of my top moments. And then that was the year that he won the scoring title, was contending for the MVP, so on and so forth. I remember this one specific moment throughout that season where he scored 50 points on all jumpers.
I remember that. Yes.
But so I definitely have to say that moment would definitely top my moments for Mello.
He was really good that year.
In that, there was also a couple other moments where that Bulls game against the Derrick Rose led MVP Bulls back in the day, where He hit 2 consecutive clutch shots in the clutch.
The
Yeah.
Mike Breen
Against
bang.
Rocket. Yeah, those
Yeah.
are prime moments. But yeah, so unfortunately, that would be my top moment. That Celtics series
Unfortunately for us, yeah.
against the
That was it for the big three.
Paul Pierce and KG.
Yeah.
Rondo.
Or that was it
Mello.
for the
Shout out
Celtics
Mello.
as they were actually. Not the big three
But I was gonna
was
say that's
already
probably the
gone.
last time any good thing happened with the Celtics, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Mel. He got a son too. That is a hooper, right, Matt? Cayenne.
Yeah, not Cayenne. He's picking up strides lately. I think
I heard he's like kind of good.
yeah, he is. He actually really is good. I always see the
Yeah.
video of them training with C. Brickley.
That's
C.
dope.
Mello, and they're teaching him his little post moves and everything like that. No, it's exciting. Exciting. It would be
Yeah.
crazy if him and Bronny can come into the league, and if Mello and
Ooh, are they the same age?
I don't think
Cayenne's
so.
might be
Cayenne
younger,
might be a
right?
little slightly younger, but
Yeah.
yeah, nah. Anthony's
He's
about
14.
soon.
I mean, if Cayenne, he's 14, Bronny's what, 17? They could possibly
Possible.
end up in the
It's
league
possible.
together, depending on how
Yeah.
shit goes. That's what's up, though, man. Yeah, shout out Mello, man. I really
Yeah.
respect the way he turned shit around and stayed relevant in a league that's hard to stay relevant, especially those type of guys, man. You know, the ego and everything. To put that to the side, like that's some
Bro.
real
Hall of
character
Famer.
shit that I commend.
Sir, 3 to the dome.
Yeah. Right. So we're back. Yeah, Matt. So Mello, shout out him. Guess you can give us a little quick 2 cents on the Knicks season this far. To be honest, I haven't watched too much Knicks game. I caught the overtime game, obviously, to the Celtics, which was pretty cool that he was there live to see that. I caught one game against Charlotte. And I think I caught the game when they lost to Chicago, or they beat Chicago. And that was really it. So I haven't watched too much Knicks. So why don't you tell us what's been going on with them this year?
Gritty, grindy, Holly Moggs, I'd say, down in the paint. Always going to give the, toughest A+ effort on the defensive end on each given night. But
You'll get that. You'll get that from a Thibs coach team too.
Yeah, for sure. And, one thing I will say thus far in the season is, Julius Randle just signed a big season off contract extension with the team. I haven't really seen him, come into his own as the star of the team after signing the contract this offseason. But I will say, though, that, Tibbs does give them a game plan each and every night to, win a game, and saw the same things happening in the playoffs last season where, they wear and tear, and he has this, history of playing his players a little bit over, their playing time, and, that can come to, bite them in the ass come playoff season. But I think, the Knicks possibly do have a chance this season, to make the Eastern Conference Finals. If all well, I'd say
Conference Finals?
the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay. All right.
Breaking news.
You heard it here first, y'all.
You heard it here first. I just, I don't really see much from the Brooklyn Nets outside of Kevin Durant and James Harden.
Jay
and when that comes,
I'll save my thoughts on that for another day.
when that comes to playoff time, going in a 7-game series against the Knicks, I'll put my chances to the Knicks in a 7-game series to anybody in the East right now.
Wow.
Yeah, no, honestly. But there are a lot of good teams in the East currently. Miami being one of them. Obviously the Celtics are always going to be there. Bucks obviously in the Nets. But when you look at depth, when you look at I wouldn't say much, but things of that nature and coaching, from top to bottom. I think the Knicks probably do have the deepest roster in the East.
Wow.
It's
Heavy
honestly,
praise. High praise from Matt on the Knicks.
It's
I won't
far-fetched.
go that far.
Yeah, it's a little far for his conference finals trip. But when you look at the East, all right, you got Brooklyn, Milwaukee at the top. Yeah, we all know that. After that, it's like Chicago's look good. Celtics, we know about them. Toronto, Cleveland, Miami, whatever. Like the Knicks, I could see them, beating
The
or taking
stars could
those
align
any
for
of
them
those
like they did
teams.
for other teams
Yeah.
last year in the playoffs
for
last
sure.
year. You never know in this league.
And you're right, Matt. They're deep, man. That Kemba and Fournier signing, they haven't been good for us, but on that Knicks team where they're just asked to do much less, they've been flourishing. RJ though, I'm a little disappointed in him. I'm not gonna lie.
Shaky start for
Yeah.
the up two stars this far in the season, but they did start the season 5-1. They've come down a little bit within the first 14 games, but it's an 82 game season. I said this earlier too. I think when we get towards 70, 60 games, or towards the end of the season, I think the younger legs and the youth will always prevail over the older teams, like I said, the Nets and Sixers or whatever the case may be. And the Heat, all of those are comprised of older players. Experience, yes, but will they be healthy? Will they make it to the end of the season? And the Knicks have a lot of youth on their team, and come
Fair
playoff
point.
time, if they make the playoffs, come playoff time, I think the youth will inevitably give them that spark that they need. Hopefully they can fill the shoes that they need to fill, and advance further into the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
For the
What do
record,
you think, Gabe?
fuck
Yeah.
Trae Young, man.
Yeah. Right. I'm thinking they're a 4 or 5. They're like a 5 to 7 seed, man. They a lot of things need to go right for them. They could be a 4 seed for all I know.
You're right.
I would say like even 3 seed is not impossible.
Yeah,
but
right. But when it comes to the playoffs,
yeah,
even if the Nets aren't that healthy, they'll at least it's gonna be hard for the Knicks to beat the Nets. And
for sure.
Milwaukee's gonna be picking up right where they left off, and Miami looks really good too. So those
Talent,
3
man.
teams are the teams that I hold in higher regard than the rest of the East. But in terms of the Celtics, Cavs, Hawks, all those teams, like the Knicks can hang with any of them, really.
Yeah.
But that we're just about out of time here today.
Yep.
We're gonna have to have Matt back on another time to discuss more New York sports, because you guys have like 20 teams for 4 sports.
Yankees.
So there's a lot more to talk about there. And I'd love to hear Matt mentioned that the the Giants couldn't block Nancy Lane, and I'd wonder what his if you had to go out on the court with 5 teachers from Cathedral, who would they be? Who would your starting 5 be? Teachers from Cathedral. So we'll have to have
That's
him
a
back on
tough
that
question.
for that. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a little bonus clip for that next time. But
yeah.
Matt, thank you so much for coming on, and
Yes,
definitely
thank
have you back
Matt.
on again.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure, bro, for real. As much
Yeah,
as
I
I
appreciate
hate those
you
New
too.
York teams that you root for, you were definitely a pleasure to have, man. You know your stuff, man, which
Yeah, absolutely.
which we appreciate.
Thank you both for having me on, man. I really appreciate y'all, man. Keep it going, man. The content, everything like that. It's beautiful, man. Like I said earlier, both of y'all, man, having this idea come to fruition.